Welcome back to another episode of the Shout at the Devils podcast. I'm Daniel Amoia. I run Devils Report on Instagram and I also write for the Hockey Writers. I'm here alongside Justin Brady, who runs Devils Fanatics on Instagram and writes for Jersey Sporting News. Big news in the Devils world today. The time has come. Lindy Ruff has been canned. 61 games, and he clearly just for whatever reason, whether he lost the room, you could speculate forever, but bottom line is the standings show that this Devils team has severely underperformed after having massive expectations coming into the season. They have now lost 31 of 61 games, so they've lost more games than they've won. And if anyone would have told you that in October, you'd probably be pretty shocked. It's basically been a perfect storm of things going wrong, culminating in a disastrous trip out west where their only win was against the league worst San Jose Sharks. So it felt like it was coming, honestly. It was just a matter of when, whether it was in the off season or now, unless they were able to go on a run, but they weren't. And that's that. Travis Green has been named as the interim head coach. So Justin, what are your thoughts?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little surprised by it because I did not expect it to happen until after the season concluded if the Devils were not to make the playoffs. So I'm pretty stunned right now because usually you do not see head coach firings with 20 games left remaining in a season. I feel like that rarely ever happens. It happens maybe at mid-season and any time before that. So I'm really surprised, especially considering that Lindy Ruff has been the head coach of the Devils for the last 4 years now. He has a great relationship with Tom Fitzgerald. Seems like he has a really great relationship with the players. And it seemed like this was a decision Fitzgerald did not want to make, but something that had to be done because I think he still has hope that the Devils could make the playoffs this season. It's very unlikely as of now. They put themselves in a really bad spot. But Fitzgerald said this was an extremely difficult conversation to have with Lindy based on the relationship that he had. He was the right coach to develop our young players on the ice, and above all else, he is a tremendous person. And I have to give credit to Lindy Ruff first. Obviously, I wasn't a big fan of him, but he really did help develop our young talent into who they are today, like Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, Nico Hischier, just to name a few. So thank you, Lindy Ruff, for everything that he did for us, except especially that one season where the Devils won third place in the league, second round in the playoffs, amazing year. But something I want to spark up some conversation here with you, Daniel. Andrew Brunette. I cannot happen to think that Andrew Brunette did not play a role in the Devils' possible downfall this season. I know it's all speculation here, but the first two seasons, Lindy Ruff was the Devils head coach. The Devils were horrible both of those years. Then the one year that Andrew Brunette is the associate coach of the Devils are third place in the league, looking amazing as ever. Then this year, Andrew Brunette goes to Nashville, head coach there. Nashville is on a crazy run right now. They're looking like they're going to be a playoff team. And the crazy thing is, Nashville is a team with not that much talent, and they're just a team that's playing very well, very cohesively together. And the Devils are a team with talented players, and they can't seem to put it together, unfortunately. So I hate to speculate to say that it's all Andrew Brunette. I'm not gonna say it's 100% that, but I cannot happen just to think that maybe that played a role in the Devils' downfall this year. So, and obviously with Lindy Ruff, you cannot put the blame solely on him. Obviously, there's a bunch of other factors that go into this. So, look, crazy decision to make this late in the season, but I'm all for it. Who knows? Maybe the Devils go on a crazy run. Sure.
Crazy things happen in sports. Nothing's totally out of the equation. I'm gonna disagree on the Andrew Brunette thing. I mean, not that he's a bad coach per se, but I think that's so blown out of proportion. Bottom line is the Devils have the talent. They still had the same head coach. They were playing Lindy Ruff season system last season, and they were getting the results. This year, there were a myriad of factors which caused them not to, whether it be goaltending, whether it be injuries. And injuries were a massive part. That's not saying Lindy Ruff was the perfect coach. There's a reason he got fired. But injuries have destroyed them this season when last season they really didn't at all. So there's just so much that goes into the equation. And up until a recent hot stretch, the Preds weren't doing much better. And yes, the Preds are a lesser talented team, but they've also been healthy. The Devils have not been healthy. So that makes a big impact as well. And it's not like they're like first in the league or anything near what the Devils were last season. They're fighting for a wild card spot. So I think it's way blown out of proportion. I mean, the Devils beat the Preds in Nashville when they played them. And obviously that's only one game, but it's just a point that I think I'm maybe Andrew Brunette would have been a great head coach if he stayed in the organization. I don't know. I just feel like the speculation
It's
is
all speculation.
yeah,
We
it's
can't
kind
do
of
that.
pointless to me because
Yeah.
I see people constantly talking about it. And I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion for sure, but I just think it's way overblown. Bottom line is the Devils are a very talented team on paper. And this season, between injuries and everything else, have just not been able to show it. And Lindy Ruff clearly wasn't getting the best out of his players. I feel like a lot of that has to do with the consistency in the lines. And yes, injuries haven't helped. I saw something. I don't remember the exact number, but the Devils had like the most lines in the entire league play over 10 minutes this season. It was like 47 or something ridiculous like that.
So 47 different line
Different
combinations
line
they put out there.
combinations.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a absurd amount.
It's crazy. And between putting Timo Meyer on the third line and even the Holtz usage, not that I think Holtz should be in the top six, but I've said consistently I think he should at least be on the third line and not buried on the fourth. I mean, there's so much you could talk about where Lindy Ruff just didn't get the best out of his players. And I think Meyer is a perfect recent example where the guy was on the third line playing with guys like Chris Tierney and Curtis Lazar at times. No shade to them, but they're not guys that Timo Meyer, a guy who scored 40 goals, should be playing with. And what do you know? Timo gets promoted to the top line. He's on fire right now. He has, I think, 7 points in his last 6 games, something like that. And he's been finding the back of the net consistently. And that's something we all knew Timo was capable of. He did it when he came over in the offseason last year. So it was just a lot of decisions that Ruff made that were questionable. And overall, it just seemed like he was kind of losing the room a little bit. I mean, how many big games did they have? Tampa Bay, just recently, Tampa Bay, Anaheim, and the LA game. All those games, they got embarrassed. They got blown out basically in Tampa Bay and against Tampa Bay and in LA. And then the Ducks game, not only a bad Ducks team, but a Ducks team that's on the second half of a back to back and to get outskated by them and outworked is flat out unacceptable. And of course, it had to end with the dramatic Jack Hughes penalty shot missing.
Yeah.
That one was really painful if you're a Devils fan, and I think preparation is a big thing, and the fact that they've scored the first goal and
15
only
out of 61 times this
yeah
season. And
that
then you could put the inconsistency into that. Like a lot of stuff, you could point the finger at Lindy Ruff. Like not solely on him, but a lot of
he
things. Like,
hasn't helped.
yeah, 100%. Yep.
Yes, and I do want to add that Lindy Ruff is a great guy. He did help develop players well. He wishing him the best of luck. It was just his time ran out. That I see so many personal attacks on social media, and that I just completely disagree with. You don't have to like him as a coach. I understand the frustration with wanting him gone, and he's gone now. Just leave it at that. Look, focus on Travis Green now. Lindy Ruff is still a human being at the end of the day and should be treated as such. So that's just where we are right now. This recent stretch by the Devils put them in a really, really bad spot. Last check, I believe their playoff percentage, their likelihood is 14%. So
Yeah,
not
no.
great stuff.
Right now they are on pace for 86 points, which is, I believe, 26 points less than they were last season. So
Wow.
very significant lower number there. So not good.
Yeah, that I mean, it's just been it really has been a perfect storm of just everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong.
Yeah.
So bottom line is we have to move on from that. Wishing Lindy the best of luck in whatever he decides to pursue after this. Maybe it's retirement, who knows, but wishing the best for him. Travis Green is now the interim head coach. He had a short stint with Vancouver as a head coach, so it's not his first gig. That team didn't do too well, but also wasn't very talented. That was kind of in the beginning before Vancouver started to really emerge like they did this season. Um, Fun fact: he will be the first head coach to coach all three Hughes brothers. So that's a
Yeah.
little tidbit in there. What do we want to see out of Travis Green, Justin? What do you want to see?
I mean, I just want to see this team play hard, play competitively. I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, they have to make the playoffs. I mean, obviously, we all want them to, but I just want them to get to a point where they can start playing more consistently. But I don't want to expect a lot out of Travis Green. We can't do that. That's not fair to him. He's an interim coach. And the Devils couldn't go out and just get a coach who is on the streets this late in the season. That you just can't do that. Have to get a guy, elevate him who's already in the system, knows the system. You have to do that. You can't just get Patrick Wall off the streets with 20 games left in the season like the Islanders did. Well, the Islanders obviously did it mid-season, which is the perfect time to do it, but you can't do it this late in the season. So it's the right move, elevating Travis Green to interim head coach. He doesn't have the best track record with Vancouver. He, in his 5 seasons with head coaching at Vancouver from 2017 to 2022, he posted a 133, 147, 34 record with Vancouver, only one playoff appearance in that. That was the year that everything shut down due to COVID. Then they won a qualifying round and went all the way to the second round that year and lost to Vegas in game 7. So other than that, all other seasons were losing seasons. So it's not the best track record. I'm not gonna judge him based off of that. I don't think that's fair to do because Vancouver was in very rough times during then. But I really hope to just see a very competitive, hungry hockey team going forward this season. Just see some more desire. I don't want to see that crap that happened in the Tampa Bay game where you come out with your season basically on the line, you put up 3 shots on goal when you're down 2-1. That shit cannot happen. Or like in LA, you first 15 seconds of the game, you show up the rest of the game, nowhere to be found. No offensive chances get gained at all. So it's just I want a full 60-minute effort, competitive hockey, working hard, give some entertainment to the fans, especially the last 20 games of the season. The fans deserve it. Help the players gain some confidence, possibly going into next season, and we'll see how it plays out. I think it's the right move, and it's the only move you could really make right now. So, Travis Green, you're the head coach, and also know what? In the past, these things have worked out for the Devils with interim head coaches. We look back in 2019-2020 season, Elaine Nazardine gets elevated as head coach for John Hines,
They
and
were playing some great hockey under Nazardine. I
they
can't even
they
lie.
they for the type of team that they were and the roster that they had, they were playing really good hockey. I want to look back. I don't know if you know about this one. 2010, 2011, Devils were on like coming into the season, they were on like a playoff streak of like 10 plus every single year. They would make the playoffs. And then 2010, 2011 season, they had a major drop off with John McClain as the head coach, which was a horrible decision. They were the worst team in the NHL in January. Jacques Lemaire takes over as head coach. The Devils were the best team for the next 3 months for the rest of the season. They went like 28, 10 and something. They were amazing. And unfortunately, their efforts weren't enough because they were so bad in the first half of the season. So I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but these things have worked in the past for the Devils, and I just got to hope it works out again. So it's the right decision and only decision.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing that hurts, right? Because when the Devils did that, it was January hiring Lemaire. They waited all the way until March. And I'm not saying they had to necessarily fire Ruff, but they had to do something to show the fan base, the team, everyone that they're going to try to
Yeah.
reroute the ship. And I just feel like they waited too late. I really do feel like it's too little too late at this point. Even if they start playing well, they need to play beyond well. They need to go on a run. And right now, I just don't see that possible, unfortunately. They can prove me wrong, we'll see. But that's what comes with doing something like this in March instead of January. It's a big difference. There were a lot of games where things could have been different, whether it was trading for a goalie, whether it was getting a defenseman, whether it was firing Ruff earlier. I mean, we could speculate, we could talk about that forever, but that's where we are right now. So it's a little unfortunate. With that being said, what I want to see out of Travis Green, I want to see Alex Holtz get real ice time, not play over 10 minutes for 1 or 2 games, then get 7, 8 minutes. Like, I'm not saying he even has to be in the top 6 again, but he needs to be put in a spot where he is seeing the ice consistently, getting consistent opportunities with same line mates as well. What Green specifically is going to make that line, I'm not sure, but he can't be buried on the fourth line anymore. He just can't. You need to see what you're getting out of him. He's too talented of a shooter. And it upsets me a little as well because the organization gave Holtz one specific ask over the summer: get faster. And he did. He did exactly what they asked of him, and they still punished him, basically. putting him on the fourth line constantly, inconsistent line mates. I mean, what was the line yesterday in LA? McDermott, Nosek, Holtz. Like
Yeah, nah, you're Holtz is putting in such a shitty situation, and with
Holtz
that,
is
that's
that
horrible. That's
Curtis McDermott has 2 goals this season. Tomas Nosek has 0. Like that's just straight up unfair. And I'm not trying to be like whiny at all, but he has so much potential. He was drafted in the top 10 because he was the best pure sniper in that draft class. And he's shown he's only one off for the team lead in 5v5 goals, even though his ice time is way less than anyone else. So he's shown that he's capable of doing it. And people are like, oh, Holtz has slumped lately. Yeah, he's slumped because he's getting like crumbs of ice time when other
yeah.
people aren't. And so I that's probably the number one thing I want to see out of Travis Green. Put Alex, I'm not going to say in the top 6, put Alex Holtz in a position to succeed. That's a big thing I'm going to look for. Another thing I want to see, I mean, Ruff started to do it, but Timo Meyer needs to stay on in the top 6, and additionally, he needs to be on the number 1 power play unit. Where he succeeded in San Jose on the right side, where he succeeded parts of last season when he came over, why he's been banished to either the second power play or not at all this season makes no sense to me. You saw he was there in San Jose, and it worked out. He scored. That goal got taken back because of the offsides, but we know he's capable of doing it. Um, so that's another thing I want to see, and I just want to see what his system's like. Lindy's system was very unique. It yielded some strange results. I saw a graph on Twitter that the Devils play their best defensive hockey when they're down a goal, and some of their worst defensive hockey when they're up a goal, which would explain a lot of the times why they go down 1-0 and then they tie the game and then they end up falling back again. It's just this weird roller coaster, and a lot of it hasn't made sense because it's been so predictable. Like it's so predictable that they're going to give up the first goal, but then it's so predictable that they're going to tie it, but then it's so predictable that they're going to give up more goals after that. Like this
Yeah.
whole season has just been like watching the same movie over and over again. And yes, there was that system change, which worked out for a few games, not too long after that. But additionally, the offense fell way down after that system change. So honestly, they might have been better with the original system because this Devils team with the people on it are not built to win games 2-1. They're built to win games maybe 7-2 or 6-3. And not saying they have to necessarily outscore their problems, but they still need to be able to consistently find the back of the net. And since it was so defense oriented, there's some great breakdowns on Twitter of it. The offense, you could tell in the statistics, really fell off a cliff. The Devils, only a few weeks ago, in terms of goals per game, were basically the same as last season. And I know people aren't going to believe that, but they were literally almost identical. It was like 0.02 goals per game less. But the big difference, well, A, after the system change, it went down dramatically, their offense, but the defense as well, giving up almost a goal and a half more per game, and that's it right there. So not all that falls on Ruff. I know the Hamilton injury, having 2 rookie defensemen, Luke Hughes, who will be great in the future, but has really gone through it, gone through the ringer this season. There's so much involved, but that's where the Devils are at right now. It's been quite unfortunate for them and a big reason that they are not repeating the same results that they had last season. So, what are your thoughts?
And also, I want to add another thing in there is I want to see the Devils going forward this season with Travis Green in charge. I want to see them get more quality chances and give up less quality chances. Yeah, the shots on goal might say 55-23 like it did in Anaheim, but it doesn't change the fact that all the shots that the Devils are giving up are high quality scoring chances. And sometimes the team that you go against are going to be able to capitalize on those chances like the Ducks did in that one game or like the Kings did on Sunday's game. And meanwhile, yeah, the Devils may outshot them, but they're not really getting those high danger chances that much. It's really all perimeter shots, and it's just not really working out well. You got to get bodies in front of that. You got to get high scoring chances. You got to get odd man rushes. It's just a lot of that, and they're not really getting that right now. And
I,
that's a big reason why they're not finishing. It's a big problem. So
yeah.
I
I think it's a little bit of both. I think yes, there have been two. Here's the distinction I'm gonna make. The the high danger chances they are creating are at even strength, the perimeter shooting is on the power play, and that's what's killed them. The
Really?
perimeter on the power play, they're not getting any great chances. They're just throwing stuff to the not even throwing stuff to the net. They're just not getting pucks to the net. It's
Because they're
just
getting blocked. They get blocked every
it's
single time.
blocked
And,
and passing, so
and I
much passing as well.
sorry to interrupt. I cannot help but just think, I know we talked about this, but Luke Hughes is just not a good quarterback for their power play right now. Dougie Hamilton really needs to take over the helm once he gets back because he's a guy who just gets the puck through everybody and then you get a rebound, bam, goal. Luke is just not doing that right now. I just wanted to add that in real quick.
Yeah, no, everyone stay tuned to my Twitter, Daniel_Amoia, because I'm actually literally writing about that right now. I've done so
Really?
much
Okay.
math today
Yeah.
comparing Dougie Hamilton's shooting and all that to Luke Hughes and how big of a difference it's made. The numbers are kind of astonishing, so stay tuned to that. Anyway, expected goals for percentage at even strength. The Devils are second in the league in the last month to the Edmonton Oilers. At even strength, they are creating the chances and they are not finishing at all. And I know it doesn't feel like that because of how the defense have been, the results they've created, the fact that the other team's high danger chances are being converted constantly because the Devils can't get the goaltending and virtually none of the Devils' chances are being created. So it doesn't seem like that. That information's basically worthless because the only thing that matters is the scoreboard and the standings. But it's just interesting that at even strength, they are still creating that offense, even with everything involved. But the power play has destroyed them because all those chances are from the perimeter. Something Jack Hughes even said himself, way too many perimeter chances and the goaltending. So that just goes back to the same point that it's been really the perfect storm of everything that can go bad will go bad. So it's unfortunate, but I'm not even going to say the Devils got to turn it around. I've said that sentence too many times, and I'm quite frankly sick of it.
Yeah.
So bottom line is, even throw the playoffs out the window. If they, uh, that might hurt some people to say that, but it's the truth. If they happen to play really good hockey and somehow climb themselves back in the race, if they start winning some games, then we'll get back into this discussion. Right now, the Devils just need to play with some heart. That's something Erica Walker said on the broadcast, I think a few days ago, last week maybe, that like they just need to play with heart. Like they're really, really. It seems like they're just kind of there, and it's not saying they don't care. Of course they care. You see how some of them are in interviews; they are reasonably frustrated. And but whether it was Lindy Ruff losing the room, I mean, we could speculate forever, but it's just time to start playing consistent hockey, whether that's consistently finishing chances, creating chances on the power play. They're just way too talented to be this inconsistent, even with the goaltending issues and everything else. And speaking of, Nico Dawes has been so overworked and burnt out. I think that's so obvious. He's coming off a major hip surgery, starting 10 of 11 games. We saw a stretch where he was dynamite. Stadium series, he was on top of the world. But you just can't expect that much that quickly out of such a young goaltender whose longest season, I think, was 30 something games professionally and is coming off a major surgery. It's unfair to Nico Dawes. It's unfair to the team to like, and I know they don't have better options. That's why the best time to get a goaltender was months ago. But at this point, you just got to fight through it. I don't even think they should get a goalie anymore unless it's someone like you say Saros who's going to help them for years down the road. I think they should just wait till the off season when the price is lowered because at this point the odds you're making the playoffs are basically none. So don't overspend when you don't have to. But I just want to see them be competitive, whether even if that's trading for maybe say a guy like Capo Kakinen from the Sharks, who isn't necessarily a great goaltender, but he'll be able to get the job done and not burn your young guys out like Nico Dawes. So they could at least have someone in net who's not a complete liability. Um, that's for the Devils to decide. I don't know, but bottom line is I don't think they're making the playoffs. It's going to be very difficult too. So they need to retool and refocus and look towards what's going to be best for their overall future because they still have a very talented young core. So
Yeah, and the coaching thing might just be the thing that they need that really changes everything. Who knows? But let's say this coaching thing doesn't work out. Then you look at Tom Fitzgerald. That's what you got to look at next. And I know it's crazy to say, but that's how it
Mhm.
usually works with any sports team. You look at the head coach. When that thing doesn't work out after you change the head coach, you look at the general manager. So we'll see what happens. We can't expect that um the Devils are going to stick with him for the rest of the season as head coach because he at the end of the day he's still an interim head coach, and it's a very good chance that the Devils don't make the playoffs, that the Devils ditch Travis Green or maybe demote him to associate coach again, and they look for somebody else to be their head coach. That's very possible. Well, let's say the Devils go on a crazy run, make the playoffs. Travis Green might be your head coach next season. So I think that's a very fascinating storyline that we could look at for the rest of the season to see how this team plays with him at helm. So I'm really excited to see what happens. Obviously, Devils, it sucks to really watch what's happening right now, but know what? Look at that and try to maybe the Devils can get a positive out of that going into next season or maybe even into the playoffs if they go on some miracle run. So let's hope that happens.
Sense happy for Lindy Ruff that he got the boot today and not tomorrow because well, if you're listening to this, it's probably tonight when the puck is, but it would have been ugly. I mean, I think literally when the puck drops, the Fire Lindy chance would have started. Like this, the
Yeah.
Devils fan base was fed up and somewhat reasonably so, but it just would have been really really bad. Like if especially if the Devils gave up like the first goal, it would have been like a deafening chant probably. And just for Lindy to have to hear that because it hasn't been totally his fault. And I'm not saying he's been great either, but I mean, at the end of the day, he's a human being. He was doing what he felt was best. Whether other people agreed, whether it did help the team or not, that's up for debate. But I mean, at least he got to go out on his terms, kinda. He didn't have to get berated by the fan base because whether he's out now or at the end of the season doesn't really make much of a difference if the team's making the playoffs. No. So at least there's that. Hopefully, Travis Green is able to kind of just take the leash and run with it and see where things can go. Like we said with Nasruddin, no matter how not talented your team is, sometimes those coach firings just spark a team, and especially it's going to be interesting to see guys like Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, how they start playing now. Timo Meyer, how the star players are going to step up during this. So they definitely needed that change. We just have to see where it goes. Going to be very interesting to see in practice and future games how he's going to deploy certain players. Is it going to be the same as Ruff? Is it going to be entirely different? I mean, it's a whole new coach now. He doesn't have to he doesn't have to meet with Lindy Ruff and share opinions. It's all what Travis Green thinks right now, and there's no associate coach with him right now. So things could be very very different for all we know, and hopefully, in my opinion, that ends with Holtz getting solid ice time. That ends with Timo in the top six and on the top power play. And then, most of all, once the season is over, health hopefully comes back into the equation. Everyone's healthy next season, and we'll be talking about some more positive storylines and coach firings and shoddy goaltending and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
we'll see where that goes. I'll give Travis Green the green. See what I did there? Green light for now, and see what he could do with this Devils team. New guy, new opportunity. Forget about Lindy Ruff. Let's see what Green could do.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm down for it. Some change, I'm down for that. Let's do it.
Yes. So it's been a rough season. We appreciate all of you
Had a rough
sticking.
season.
I'm making all these jokes. I'm not even realizing it. It has been a rough season. Not anymore. I guess it's a green season now, but Um, we appreciate you listening to all these episodes. It has not nearly been as positive as last season's were. It's officially been 1 year since Shout at the Devils began. And we really appreciate all your support, how it's continued to grow. Even seeing some of you at games and saying you listen to the podcast, like that means the world to us. That makes us want to be here at 12:30 in the morning recording these episodes because we love talking about all of you. We love the support. We love interacting with all of you. It's really been awesome. So this is just a bump in the road. Sports are never a fun thing if you're a fan of any team, but right now for Devils fans, it's not going great. But we appreciate you sticking with us regardless. So hopefully for all of you, that means greener pastures in the future for New Jersey. I just did it again. I'm just gonna stop talking. But yeah, thanks for sticking with us. We really appreciate it. Um, yeah, that's really all I have to say. I'm gonna end up making another greener rough joke. So, but we really do appreciate it. And any last words, Justin?
Nah, thank you guys. Appreciate all the support, all the love as always. Keep the feedback coming in the comments. Appreciate it all. And we'll see you coming out with a new episode. Probably coming out with one over the weekend or probably next Monday or Tuesday. We'll keep you guys updated. Hopefully, it's a more positive episode. We'll see what happens. And we'll have a lot to unpack with the Travis Green being head coach. See how the new lines are. See if the Devils get on a bit of a winning streak here. We'll see. A lot to talk about. Look forward to next week's episode. Thank you guys all for listening. Appreciate it a lot.
Peace.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Shout at the Devils by your hosts, Justin Brady and Daniel Amoia. As always, let's go Devils, baby! Woo!